I noticed that everyone who tries to play the guitar, especially the bass guitar, is this one, this riff. Do 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 do. Was that the first one you tried to play when you first picked up the guitar?
No, what's that? It's like Smoke on the Water or something like that.
Yeah.
I think I was learning an Elvis song the first time I.
Oh, really? Wow. It's the On Stage podcast with Chris Robert. Hello, welcome to the On Stage podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. We have actually a special guest here today. I actually work with him. His name's Lee McCormick, and I'm so pleased that he is on our podcast, and we are going to get to know his music, such as he plays the guitar, it's just amazing. So we're going to bring him in. Hello, Lee.
Hey, how's it going, eh? What's happening?
Not too bad. I'm so happy to see you.
All right, yeah, thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. So can you give me a little bit of a backstory of who you are so our audience know?
Who I am, I'm Lee McCormick. I'm a all-around good guy, rock and roller. I've been a musician for most of my life since I was a little kid. I've played with many bands, many studio recordings. I've studied music. I teach. I've recorded music on my own. I've performed with many bands. I have my own band I've performed with.
Wow.
Yeah, just a big fan of music. It's always been a big passion of mine and, a big part of my life since I was very, very young.
That's awesome. So when was the first time that you actually decided, okay, this is what I wanted to do? I wanted to pick up a guitar, wanted to pick up this, wanted to play the drums. What was the first instrument on your mind?
I was very young age. Ever since I was a very little kid, talking like 3, 4 years old, I wanted to be a musician. I've always loved listening to music, and I've always wanted to do it. Not just listen to it. I've always wanted to, understand as much as I could about it. All the history of music, the creation, the backstories. How does it get recorded? How does it get written? Just every part of it, I've always loved. So, ever since I can remember being a little kid, I've always wanted to be like a musician. A rock star kind of thing, right? So. Not so much a rock star as I got older, but I always wanted to be a musician. I always wanted to be around it, create it, make my own music. So.
Yeah, that's amazing because I have heard from around the work area that we usually hear that you played the guitar and sang at some of the parties. It was, what kind of guitar was that you actually used? Is a PV, a Martin? Gibson?
Probably my Gibson acoustic guitar. I have a Gibson Gospel acoustic guitar. It was a reissue. Came out in the 90s, but it's based on a guitar from the early 20th century there. It's a great guitar. But yeah, I get invited to some of these parties and functions, and I'm always happy to bust the guitar out and play a few Johnny Cash songs or some of my own songs or whatever, It's always a good time.
I know. Yeah, you're really good. Well, I've heard you, but I'm just like, I want to sit down there and just talk to this guy. I thought, why not just invite him on the podcast? So I'm like, yeah, sure. What instrument do you think is the favorite to play, the drums or the guitar?
Well, it's hard. The drums, I'm probably better at drums. I've played that since I was very young, and I've kind of I studied that. I went to college and I studied drums and percussion and performance on that instrument. So that's probably the best instrument I can play. But I do love playing guitar and being on stage and singing. And there's a certain aspect to that you can't get out of playing drums. You can be on stage and kind of lead the band in a different way than you can as a drummer. Drummer, you're more of a support role kind of thing like that, and I love that. But there's a part of me that also likes to be the star of the show and be up there and entertain and kind of sing a song like that. And I like being able to play guitar helps that along, being sort of the front man and leading a band and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to play guitar on stage, but I'm better at drums,
Oh wow! Do you mentioned about writing your own music? Do you put your emotion and your whole passion into it? Does the stuff you write, does it have something to do with your life experience, or is it just something, I want to play the song, I want to learn this song, but has nothing to do with your experience?
Oh yeah, it's all got to have something to do with experience, right? Like a lot of my favorite songwriters are like Steve Earle, Johnny Cash, Bruce Springsteen, Neil Young. And these are guys that write real songs, right? So having that influence, Gordon Lightfoot, I love too, right? So having those kind of songwriting influences on me, obviously I can't, I strive to get to that level. Those are, the top songwriters in the world as far as I'm concerned. So those are the kind of guys that I emulate. So I do go for that kind of realism with the songwriting and putting my emotions in it, using my life experiences in my songwriting. Whether I'm singing about a failed relationship, or if I'm singing about a hot rod car or something like that. It's all kind of from personal experiences. I find you got to draw from some personal experiences, and then try and make other people, kind of empathize with those experiences and see how they can fit
Yeah.
themselves into my own kind of stories.
Yeah, my favorite band, Imagine Dragons, Brad Reynolds, the lead singer, wrote a song called "Wrecked," which he wrote because of the emotional impact it had when his sister-in-law died of cancer. So he wrote a song called "How Wrecked He Is That She's Gone," and now everyone's singing this song, but they really don't have that emotional experience, because unless they've experienced the death of a loved one, you can't have someone out there singing a song that they have no psychological, emotional attachment to.
Well, that's the thing about a good song and a good songwriter, is that they can take something that's personal, and they can have it put those lyrics in a song, and it can be interpreted different ways by the listener, right? I think that's what that's what good songwriters strive for. Is here I've written a song about one thing, but you can put whatever your own experiences into that song.
Mhm.
Whether, like, if you're singing about a failed relationship, it could be about a failed job, a failed like some sort of like a drug addiction. You could put like a lost loved one to death, rather than like heartbreak kind of thing, right? So it's interesting how you can put yourself into different songs.
Yeah, exactly. Like my favorite singer is Tim McGraw. He wrote a song called "Live Like You Were Dying." And if you know the lyrics, talks about a 40-year-old man who got the X-rays, showed him that he had cancer. So what he did is became a friend that a friend would want to have, and he gave forgiveness that was denied, and it was just a powerful song, and it's an amazing song. So you're mentioning that you played in a band. What was the name of your band?
I played in a bunch of bands. My own band was called Moon Violet, and that different variations and permutations of that band. I had started it with a female singer, and then I kind of took over as kind of the front man, front singer, front person of that band. But we were still Moon Violet. Put out a few CDs under that name, and we played 20 years playing gigs under that name. And then recently, I've just recorded another song, but I did that one under my own name this time, on Lee McCormick, for this solo single. But Moon Violet has kind of been my own personal band that I've played with for the last 20 years or so.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm learning so much about you, Lee. This is amazing. And the one good thing about it is that I see you almost every day, and I can say, "Wow, can I get your autograph?" You know, this is amazing. So, do you have any hobbies or interests outside of music? Like, what do you do before?
Not really. Music, girls, cars, that kind of thing. That's about it.
I like number two.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
don't know. Everything kind of comes back to music. Like, I could say I like sports, but I don't really like sports. I could say I like food, but yeah, I don't like food. I like music, man. It's just about,
Oh yeah.
I like
So,
whatever. I like music. I like movies. I like wrestling. But whatever. Music is the main thing. It's my main hobby kind of thing.
yeah, do you put your music passion into your work?
What work do you mean? Like my day job? Not
Your
really.
day job where
Well,
we
you know
work.
what my day job is, and it's just a means to an end, really. It's not my passion, right? So, I mean, we do a few things at work where sometimes I get to bring my guitar in and play a few songs at a branch meeting or something like that, or a retirement party or something like that. So,
That's amazing. Yeah. So what strengths does a person need to have to become a good musician? Like how much passion do you put into your guitar? Do you put in the same amount of passion playing just at home than you do in a band?
yeah, I guess you put into it what you get out of it, right? Like it's discipline too. Being a teacher, I've taught for over 20 years now too, and that's one of the things I try to teach my students, which are mainly young kids, right? Adolescents,
Wow.
teenagers, and stuff like that, right? And if you want to learn an instrument, you have to want to learn it, right? It can't be a chore. You have to want to practice. It can't be a tedious thing, right? You have to want to do it. And you have to practice. And you have to discipline yourself, and you have to do it every day, right? You can't just pick up a guitar once a week for half an hour and think that you're going to progress on it. It's got to be like every day, right? It's got to kind of be a part of you. but you got to want it, right? So I don't know. I've never had a problem with that. I've just loved it so much. I've wanted to practice. I've wanted to learn. I've had this kind of thirst for knowledge with music, history, learning about it, studying it, all that stuff, right? But you just have to want it, right? You have to want to do it. Like the best people that have made it in this business, like I haven't made it. I'm just a guy who's got passion, and I've done a few things. But the guys that make it to the top, they eat every day, man. Like they have the passion that I have, like times 100, right? It's one of those things. If you want to, what's that thing about how do you get to Carnegie Hall? You just got to practice, 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 right? Like every day you got to practice. You have to want to do it. There's the reason for doing it too. You can't want to do it because you want to be successful, you want to make money, or you want to be famous. You have to do it because you want to learn this instrument. You want to get better as a musician, right?
Well, this is sort of like you can either be say you want it Carnegie Hall, you want it so badly, or you become like Bugs Bunny, who appears saying, "I wish I took the left turn at Albuquerque." It's the people, the artists out there that don't take the left turn at Albuquerque that end up, But if you put enough passion in, like with me, I'm basically, as you know, in the office, tenor. I do a lot of singing Italian, German, just regular music like Billy Joel. I love singing, and you're right. You have to do it all the time, or it's like if you don't use it, you lose it. I don't know if that's good for the voice. You're saying that that's like a guitar. If you don't play the guitar in a month, could you pick it up and play it like you have before? Or
Yeah, but I mean, I've had decades of practice before, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. But when you're learning the instrument, right? When you're coming from a novice or someone who's never picked up a guitar and you're trying to learn it, that's when you really need discipline, right? Nowadays, I could probably not play for a year and I can pick it up and be almost as good as I was. It take a while to get the reflexes back, but I've done it so long that I would never forget it.
So, have you ever played the drums and the guitar on your own album?
Yeah, a few of my albums I played everything. I played all the instruments, right? Yeah, keyboards, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have any weaknesses that you're actively working to improve on? Like, how do you want to play? You want to play like Geddy Lee? You want to play like, or you just want to play like Lee himself?
Yeah, just myself. I don't know. I've been doing it so long, right? I don't know. It changes, right? I'll learn different songs every day. I'm not really as focused on learning my instruments anymore as I am working on songwriting, writing songs. Right? I don't really sit down and practice drums. Well, actually, I do. I do work on just to keep my chops up, but I'm not trying to progress to be anything. That makes sense.
I noticed that everyone that tries to play the guitar, especially the bass guitar, is this one, this riff. Do 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 do. Was that the first one you tried to play when you first picked up the guitar?
No, what's that? It's like Smoke on the Water or something like that?
Yeah.
I think I was learning an Elvis song the first time I.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You're one of the only people I know that the first song was an Elvis song, not Smoke on the Water.
No.
Wow. So, describe your favorite and least favorite part about being a musician.
Oh, well, the favorite part is the music, being able to play the music, being part of the song, the communion, the camaraderie of being in a band, right? Being live on stage and playing a song with a group of instruments I think, is one of the most greatest feelings in the world, to be able to put a band together and share a song in a moment. Especially if it's a song that I wrote. Now I'm having a song, come to life with a band, a group of musicians, and working on that song. That's great. The energy back and forth between a live audience is incredible. That's another thing you can't describe. So that's a lot of great things about it. The uncertainty of music as a career is tough, right? Like you're never really promised anything. You got to work really hard to make a living at it. A lot of working musicians will do like 3 or 4 different things. They'll be teachers. They'll have a side gig over here. They'll play in a cover band over here. They'll do what they really want over here. You have to do like 5 or 6 things to keep a career going sometimes, especially this day and age when it's hard to sell product. It's hard to sell records, kind of thing like that. So that's been frustrating. And, unfortunately, when I got into the music industry is right when that whole thing started happening. People stopped buying CDs and physical media, and it was really hard to navigate the business at that point.
Or stealing songs on Napster like I used to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Sean Fanning had to sell that company, and now it's all Spotify. And Sting just recently sold his music for $450 million.
Yeah, everybody's selling their publishing now. That's a big thing. Springsteen just sold his for 500 million.
Really? Wow, that's new.
500 million.
You're like a Bruce Springsteen fan.
Yeah, and then Dylan sold his for 300, I think. That's
That I know. I think they're doing it just because they need the money, or because
No, they don't need the money at all. But it's these guys are turning 70. They got like what, a couple of decades left in their life, so they're looking at the best way to kind of handle their catalog,
Yeah.
make some money, leave some money behind for their family or whatever like that, and see and you have to kind of look at the way that in music industry goes, right? Publishing, the value of it, it'll be worth more now than it will be in 10 years, kind of thing, right? So, judging those options, there's a lot of deals being made where people are giving up their publishing, which is, it's their intellectual property, their right to do that kind of thing. But I don't know. It just means that, you're more likely to see, a Bruce Springsteen song in a commercial, in a car commercial or
Yeah.
a movie, because now these other companies have the right to do what they want with the music,
Because they own it.
Yeah, we'll see. I assume there'll be a lot of these clauses in some of these contracts for what people can and can't do, and the public's probably not privy to that information. But yeah, who knows?
I don't think Mick Jagger and Rolling Stones are going to sell their catalog anytime soon. Describe your creative. Oh, actually, I wanted to ask you before I ask you this question: what genre of music do you like to play?
Rock and roll. I guess rock and roll is my favorite, but it encompasses so much stuff. Rock and roll, right? Like I love rockabilly music. I love country music. I've done a Johnny Cash tribute show for a long time.
Oh,
I
wow.
love heavy metal. I love punk rock. There's a lot of music. So I just say rock and roll. 50s, 60s rock and roll is my favorite. Rockabilly, country, that kind of stuff.
That's not bad. Wow. Okay. So describe your creative process when you write new music. Do you start with the lyrics and then the music, or do you just drum on the guitar and say, "I like this. Let's see what we can write to it"? How do you do that?
There's a few different approaches to
Mhm.
it. It's all different. Sometimes I'll get in the mood and I'll be like, I want to write a song like this. I want to write a slow blues song, or I want to write a fast rockabilly song or something like that. So sometimes in those cases, it'll start with a music, a groove, or a vibe, and then I'll try and fit lyrics to whatever I'm trying to say, whatever I'm trying to say in this song. A lot of times I've worked on lyrics though, kind of almost like poetry,
Mm-hmm.
and then how would I take this poetry, these group of phrases, and turn them into lyrics, right? So I've approached it both ways, with varying degrees of success on both, right? So it's hard to judge. I don't think
Yeah.
there's really one way to do it,
I was talking to a hip hop artist, and it's called lyrical poetry. A lot of the rap, and there was an app that I used, and all it does is take spoken word and it turns it into a rap. I thought it was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
So, what would be your ideal musician to collaborate with? Was there anybody famous, any high class musician? I don't know what you call it, that you played with or will like to play with at one point?
That I would like to, like that I haven't with. Well,
Okay, the first part of that question is: have you before?
have I? I'm trying to think. I've worked with so many different artists.
Wow.
Nobody. I'm trying to think of who's the very famous. Not really. Not really. But I've played like some pretty big gigs, festivals and stuff like that, to some big crowds.
Oh my.
But trying to think, I can't think of anybody that like any name people that you would know, like people in the industry and some high up people in bands and stuff like that. But I'm nothing, no big names or anything like that.
That's amazing. I've known you for almost 10 years, and I'm finding this out now.
I played in like opening up for other bands, big,
Yeah.
like, larger bands. So I've played on some big stages, like a lot of country bands, Vince Gill and Sleep at the Wheel, and
wow.
Tanya Tucker and those guys. I played on some of the like opening up for those bands.
Have you actually met them?
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah.
Nice. But you haven't met Bruce Springsteen?
I met him, like, he did a book signing a couple of years ago in
Nice.
Toronto, and I met him there, said hello to him, got a picture taken. That was pretty fun.
I was at the mall up the road from me at one point, and Dave Usher. This is when before the last record store closed, and he was signing his albums for the last Moist album. He was sitting there signing records. I don't know if you're familiar with David Usher, but it's like, oh my goodness. I tell you one thing, I'm so happy that you're on the podcast. Here's something that's interesting for you. Um, what's your favorite venue for performing? Is it all outdoor, or do you like an indoor venue?
It's all different, right?
Mhm. The acoustics, right? The echo, sort of
Yeah,
reverb.
it's all different scenes too, right? I played like festival stadium stages. I played like a lot of bars, right? A lot of bars. I used to hate playing in the early or the '90s. There, some when people were still smoking cigarettes in bars, so it was awful.
Yeah.
And you'd have to play like 4 sets, so you'd be in there for like 4 or 5 hours. But yeah, like Massey Hall would be my favorite place. I've never played there, but that's where I would love to do a show there. But yeah, I played some good clubs. The Horseshoe was great. The Rivoli, Lee's Palace, some of the bigger clubs in Toronto are great because they have good sound systems and stuff like that. So those times were a lot of fun to play. I played like Sound Academy, like the docks down there.
This is amazing. Okay. How about El Macombo?
I
Before
haven't
when
played there. I've seen a lot of shows there, but I've never played there. Not yeah. That was always like closed down or like
closed down.
closed down and then like open for a bit when I was like in the early 2000s, and then recently the new place just opened up. So yeah, I haven't been there yet.
Well, now that we're all back to work, and if you do actually start performing, I want to be there actually. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, so tell me about your favorite performance in your career. What would be the best time ever?
there's a few. One that comes to mind though is I did a Johnny Cash tribute show right after he
Hmm.
passed away in 2003. When he died, it really affected me. I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan, so I
Hmm.
needed to do something. So I put together like a tribute show, like some friends. I got some special guests, and I put together a set list of about 30 songs.
Oh,
So I
okay.
learned 30 Johnny Cash songs in like about a week's time. All these new songs, right? And I worked really hard on it, and I did a lot of advertising for it. Like it was all kind of me putting this whole show together, and it was a big success. I had a lot of people show up for the gig, and it went off really well. And my performance was just amazing. If I don't mind saying so myself,
Why
because
not?
I
Yeah.
learned all these songs. So I was playing these songs for the first time, and it was just with a flow to it. It was very like effortless. I was able to sing these songs, and it just was a really great night. And even a couple of the guests canceled, and I sang their songs. Because I was just like, we're gonna do it anyway, and I just kind of got my way through it. And it was just one of those perfect gigs, and it was just a great feeling the whole way through. Very memorable. Still thinking about that one.
That is serious stuff, my friend.
But I
Um,
played a lot of gigs playing drums too, like in bands that weren't
mhm.
really my show, and I was a sideman. And I've had so many times, so many great times, like grooving with a bass player and great moments on stage playing drums. But they weren't actually my shows, right? With my band and the songs that I perform myself, I'm the front man, so I sing and play guitar. So it's a different vibe than when I'm playing drums and I'm like a support sideman to a band or an artist that way.
Well, have you ever gotten any accolades, aka like your song being played on the radio, or you got a gold album, gold CD, whatever? An
No,
award?
no gold CDs or anything like that. What's gold in Canada? It gets like 100,000, I think. Yeah, I haven't sold 100,000. I've sold 100 maybe, but yeah, nothing like that. I've been on the radio a couple of times. A few of my songs, my own songs,
Nice.
have been played on a few different radio stations. Nothing, none of the major radio stations, but a
Mhm.
lot of like indie stations and college, university stations. I've been on some of those shows. Some of my Moon Violet song, my recent song, Train to Heartbreak. I got a little bit of airplay on that one recently.
That's pretty awesome, actually, my friend. I can't believe it. It's just this day is getting better and better. Hearing a lot from you, knowing how wow. But doesn't mean I'm going to treat you any differently, my friend.
No, it doesn't mean anything, man.
Yes. So, okay, now I'm going to ask you the reverse question. Describe your worst performance and what did you learn from that experience?
Worst performance. I mean, I've had some bad performances being a drummer, being in a band that I didn't like. Like, I don't like the band. Like,
Oh,
like
wow.
there's a few members that weren't like they weren't carrying their weight. I can remember the moments like that when you're on stage with a band and they can't play and there's nothing you can do to keep it together. It's so frustrating. So I've had a few moments like that I've had to endure. Uh, I did a tour a couple of years ago, 2015. I did like a 2-month tour down to New Orleans and back, playing with this band, and it was like a psychedelic rock band, and it wasn't really my deal,
Hmm.
but it was just like a paying gig, right? So I just did what I did, but I didn't like the music, so it's a bit of a chore. That's when it becomes a job, So
Yeah, it's not supposed to be a job. It's supposed to be an enjoyment. And for like Rolling Stones and other, it's an actual business, And is your music? Would you like your music to become more of a business as well, or do you want to keep that part just for enjoyment? Or
well, I mean, if it's gonna make me money, sure, man. Like,
I had to ask.
yeah, I don't have any problems with making money. That would be nice for a change.
Okay, I'm going to give you a scenario. So you hear from Justin Bieber's manager, and he wants you to open for him. Would you? Yes or no?
Uh, yeah, for sure, man. I mean, it depends what's the deal? I can play my own music. I get to play my own music, do my own
No, he
show.
said, sorry, you have to play one of his. How long does it take you to learn a song?
How much does it pay? I mean, I know I'm all see. That's the one thing. I'm an artist in the fact that I have my own band and I'm a songwriter and I do my own music, but I'm also a working musician. So you can hire me and I'll play whatever you want.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I do gigs like that. So I can't complain. Yeah, I would do for sure. Pay me and I'll do whatever you want. I'm a working musician.
So what do you call yourself? Tenor, baritone? No, you want to be baritone. What's your vocal range? Is it
Oh,
low like baritone, or is it high like falsetto?
I don't know. My voice is lower, I guess. And doing a Johnny Cash tribute show for 20 years, I can sing pretty low like
Okay.
that. So
So did you play? I guess you played "Hurt" and "Ring of Fire." I guess was part of your playlist.
yeah, we would do Hurt. Hurt would be like a middle part of the show. I would do like an acoustic part.
Mm-hmm.
We would do that song and then bring the band in back after the acoustic part. And Ring of Fire was usually one of the last songs, an encore or a show closer.
That's your closer.
Yeah, it's a big song. Yeah.
So are you the one that watches for all the changes, or you're the one that actually leads? Are you the one that leads or follows in the band?
Yeah, I'm a leader. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, I
Um,
became a leader about 20 years ago when I put my own bands together, and I had to take charge.
that is awesome, my friend. So how about you said you taught guitar? What do you teach them first? What's the first song you teach them?
With guitar, I teach drums and guitar. It depends what level they start at, right? Yeah, I can usually judge a person like in a few minutes what level they're at, but there's I just have a few starting concepts for each instrument where I can get anybody playing something within like half an hour.
Oh, so okay. Drums. Like you can't just suddenly tell them that you have to hit the drums and then do the snare. Isn't there so? Well, take the brush and let's hit the snare and teach you how to use the snare. And in the next lesson, you tell them to take the sticks and then hit the drums. Like, how does that work? How do you teach them drums?
Well, you would teach them timing, right? First, you would teach them like how to count, subdivide in a bar. Bar 4, count 1, 2, 3, 4. Quarter notes on your right hand, playing 1, 2, 3, 4. Snare drum on your left hand, playing beats 2 and 4. Then get them to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Play along as they count. And then I'll move into play some music and then play a basic beat along to a song. Right, even if the song is quite complicated and complex, you can still play a simple beat to a complex song as long as you're counting in time, right? So I would try and teach these concepts and get them started and teach them how to practice, kind of thing as well, right?
It was only I found recently from when I had another guest that they said the glass booths that the drummers have to be in. I never knew until, believe it or not, 3 weeks ago, that is to keep the sound down because it's so loud, especially when you're playing on the stage. You got to be in a booth. The glass kind of drowns all the sound so you don't hear it as much. Is that what you do? You have a glass booth?
No, I don't really like that. That kind of muffles some of the sound. And there's all different theories of how you capture sound, right?
Mhm.
It depends what you're playing with on stage. A lot of people, they don't like the sound of drums on stage, so they put like plexiglass dividers to kind of stop some of the high frequency sounds. Some sound guys that they don't know how to that don't know how to record drums properly will do that because they think they can get a better sound focused if they don't have a lot of the sound bouncing around. There's all different scenarios and situations, whether you're playing live or in the studio, what kind of room you're in, what kind of sound you want to get to, right? Like if you want like a dry, focused sound, you would want stuff like that. But if you want like a loud kind of rock and roll sound, you want more of a room vibe. You want some bleed in some of the other mics and stuff like that. So there's all different theories and concepts of how to record and get different sounds, whether you're live or in the studio.
You can't really play your drums in your house, though, can you? Because aren't you like disturbing neighbors? I don't know where you live. You have a house, single house, or
Yeah, I don't play very often, but I can play a little.
yeah. Um, so, what's the best piece of advice another musician has ever given you, and who would that be? Unless it's Bruce
I
Springsteen.
don't know. Like I get a lot of inspiration from people that don't speak to me personally, right? Like I'll get inspiration from a lot of other artists and musicians that I admire, and I just follow their career, and I take influence that way. But I don't know. I've had some good teachers through my years going through college, studying music there. I had a few good teachers, right? There's always a few bad teachers and a few good teachers, right? And different personalities and different, teacher personalities, student personalities, the way different connections are made. But yeah, I can't think of one person that gave me, you know, the secret to success or anything like that. But I've had some good teachers and role models as far as musicians and peers that way, as well as musicians and heroes that I just look up to as far as the music they've put out to and the careers they've had playing live and recording.
Did you have any? Do you have any family that are musically inclined?
Yeah, on my father's side of the family, we're always musically inclined, always playing guitars at family gatherings and that kind of stuff, singing songs and playing records, and I get a lot of it from that side of the family for sure.
Well, that's good. So, how many guitars do you have on hand just in case something during a performance goes wrong, like strings break or you drop it, the neck drops and breaks? Do you have a guitar right there immediately to grab and use?
I usually have two guitars on a gig.
Hmm.
I don't get too overly worried about that stuff. String breaking is probably the worst because you don't really have time to change a string when you're in the middle of a set. But everything else is
Yeah.
I can handle with. Yeah, we
Okay.
usually bring
Well,
an extra guitar for a string break. It'd be
are
nice
you,
to have the luxury to bring six guitars and have a guy working backstage to take care of all my stuff, right? But that's if when you're in the big time.
so you're not your own manager then? You actually have a manager that gets you gigs, or do you get your own gigs?
No, yeah, I hustle myself. I don't have a manager. Yeah, I do it all myself.
Okay.
I book them myself.
How many sticks do you have on hand? Okay, like are you the type of person to drum and then you throw the sticks up and catch them? And if you miss them, you have to grab some more.
Yeah, I could. I'm not really a flashy guy that way. I'd rather just play instead of be throwing my sticks up in the air and stuff like that.
And it gets stuck in the ceiling. Yeah, I can imagine that. I want to walk into a venue and see sticks and see Leesman here. um, so, how do you deal with performance anxiety? Did I ask that one already? What's your process for dealing with performance anxiety?
I
You still get
don't know.
nervous?
I don't really get. I don't get nervous. I get anxious. Like when I get ready to do
Mhm.
a gig, I just want to do it. So I hate I hate doing sound check and then you got to wait 4 hours to play. And that sort of 4 hours before getting ready to play, that's when I get anxious. Not really nervous. I'm just excited and I want to do it. Why do we got to wait around? I want to do it. So,
So,
but I've
if
never
they,
really got nervous or
Mhm.
stage fright or any of that stuff. Not really.
If they say you can only play for an hour, would you know how many songs make an hour, or you have to play for an hour and a half? Would you know what songs to play so that you exactly after the closing song, it's an hour and a half? Do you have to practice it? Would you know by the timing of the songs, intermission?
Sorry, what's the question? If I had to
Okay,
play for an hour?
So, do you have a certain amount of time to play, or do you just go in there? Okay, guys, we're going to play for 3 hours, and then you just play for an hour and a half?
What, for like a gig?
Yeah, for a gig. Like, do you have a set time?
Yeah, it depends what kind of gig it is, right? Every gig is going to be different. You do multiple
Mhm.
sets, so you have other bands, and each depending on what time it is, right? But yeah, you cater your set to however long you're going to play. Depends on what songs you're playing, that kind of thing too, right?
Do you actually find out how long the timing of the songs, and you add them all up to get this final number? It's 86 minutes, guys. Let's play it because you have to do a lot for breaks,
Not,
stuff like
not
that.
really. Yeah, you can ballpark it, right? You can everybody knows, it's different songs, how long they are. It depends how you could be doing 4 8-minute long songs, right? Or you could do 3 10-minute long songs, or you could do 10 3-minute. It's all different, but yeah, I can usually ballpark it.
So you were mentioning earlier about the person that not pulling their weight. What do? You go up to them strongly and put them up in the wall like the Terminator, or do you just say, "Listen, I'll talk to you a minute.
It
This and this and
depends, right? Like if it's not my band, I don't really care. Like it's not my place to do it. If it's my band, I'll take them aside and say like, you didn't play that right. Like you just don't hire them back either, right? Like so.
Have you ever gotten angry during a performance and went up above somebody, or did you just like you keep your
Oh yeah,
cool
there's been some moments on stage, yeah, some tense moments,
like the mall, eh?
a couple of fights and stuff like that, yeah.
And breaking your guitar and like they
No, not
do.
my guitar. I've never break my own instruments. Yeah.
I've had 100 Gibsons in my life. 99 of them are broken now. Um, so yeah. So what do you do if your audience looks? What if you do if the audience looks tired or bored, or some of them get out? Do you know how to deal with it?
Uh, yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? It depends how much you want to cater to that, right? Depends what the crowd is, where you are. There's all different scenarios, right? But I haven't really been in situations like that where I've had to deal with an unruly audience or something like that. Right? I know, like playing drums in a few different bands. I was never the band leader, but there were points where you had to kind of cater your set. If you're in a bar, people need to want to dance, right? So you got to play songs that make people dance. So if no one's dancing, you're not going to get hired back the next week because the guy who owns the club wants people to dance. So you got to, sometimes in different situations, we've had to change the set list to make, keep people on the dance floor and that kind of thing, right? But yeah, nothing really to win over an audience that would fall asleep or something like that.
Are you able? I guess you're able to go out and do more performances now because everything's opening up and
Yeah, I want to do something. I haven't looked into anything yet. I got to start booking that, but yeah, I haven't played a gig since 2019. So
oh wow, everyone's like that. It's like
yeah,
wow. I know this pandemic really has just ruined a lot of people. But anyway, I hope we can just get up from our faces and move on. Have you ever participated in any music competitions? Do you believe in them?
do I believe in them? Well, I don't know if I believe in them, but yeah, I've participated in a few things where you send in your songs for stuff like that, but nothing too crazy. But I've entered some, submit a version of a song. I submitted like a Gordon Lightfoot cover video for something a while ago, and I think I submitted my rockabilly song for some submission thing a couple years ago. But
Yeah. Gordon Lightfoot is so protective of Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Anybody that tries to use that, especially on a commercial, he goes, it's. I know what the song's about, the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. It's a lot of musicians out there really are protective of their work sometimes, right?
well, you
Some
have
of,
to be, man. It's your property, so you can't just let people put it in commercials. That's the thing with people selling their publishing. They're going to be able to do that, right? Like if Gordon Lightfoot, when he sells his music publishing, if he does, that'll be the thing, right? Someone could potentially use it in a commercial. Right? Once he passes away, if he sells it to Sony, or if he gives it to his daughter or something like that, and then his daughter decides to do it one day, then that's what happens, right?
yeah. What would you do if you made a mistake during a performance?
the thing you do if you make a mistake is you do it again. So then people don't think it's a mistake; they think that you meant to do that. So it becomes part of the song now. So you repeat your mistake.
Are you familiar with that performance that Elvis Costello made on Saturday Night Live, where he started playing Allison, and then he just suddenly stopped and went stop, and then he played a whole different song? What do you think of that scenario?
Yeah, they didn't want him to play that song like Radio or something like that.
Yeah, but then
he duped them, and it was live TV, so he just decided to play his song. And then, I don't know, whatever. He's just trying to be cool, trying to be a rebel.
Does that happen to you a lot, where you just suddenly say, "Listen, I don't want to play this song after all. Let's play this one," or do you just go right through with your playlist? Done. You eat whatever.
I eat. Yeah, I like to.
No, I mean, like, you have a set playlist of what you're going to play your band. You play those songs. You don't just suddenly say, okay, instead of that song, let's play this song.
Yeah, sometimes you can call an audible if you're feeling it, right? You make a set list, and then halfway through you want to play another song. Sometimes you can do that.
Yeah, I guess you're
free. Your band's good enough to go along with you, right?
Yeah, that's true. What would you do if your previous bandmates? How would your previous bandmates describe you and your work ethic?
Oh, I don't know. Hard working, good guy, rock and roller. I don't know.
Where did you come up with the name for your band, by the way? I'd be interested.
Moon Violet. We were looking at it was just me and this girl Dallas. We had this band. We kind of started it together. She was the singer, and I was she was the vocals, and I was the music part of the band kind of thing. We were trying to come up with a band name, and we were just trying to think of two words, unique words that kind of sounded good together, similar to like Blue Rodeo, there's like Pink Floyd, like just two words that don't really mean anything, but they sound good together. So we were kind of putting words together, and we came up with like colors and Moon Violet, and I don't know, sounds pretty cool.
Sounds like you want to be like Pink Floyd when you say Moon Violet and Pink Floyd.
No, I don't want to be anything like Pink Floyd.
Yeah. So is there a certain ritual process that you follow before a performance to get rid of nerves or to prepare? Is there a drink? Is there something you do?
No, not really. I don't really get nerves. I get anxious. I get excited, but not really nervous. Nothing really.
So you just go, okay, let's go, guys. You grab your guitar and you go out and you play? That's it?
Yeah, man.
Is there another artist that you love to play with? Duet with? Play with or sing with or open for?
Well, I've never played with or opened for Bruce Springsteen. That would be awesome.
Okay, so Bruce Springsteen's the answer.
Yeah, I'll play drums in his band if he wants me. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, why not? Tell me about your first music teacher, whether that was for vocals or for playing the guitar or drumming. Do you remember anything that they taught you?
My first drumming teacher was great, Frank May. I was 12 starting lessons, and he was like an older guy, very into jazz, right? Traditional grip. He put together a great drumming book for teaching. So I was learning private lessons with him, learning out of his book, and he was a real cool guy. And I got along good with him because I was into jazz, and I wanted to learn how to play traditional grip, holding the stick. So he was teaching me that kind of stuff. And among his other students, they were more into like rock stuff, but I was really keen on learning jazz and swing and that kind of stuff, and playing brushes. So I had a good relationship with him, and he was very influential on me at a young age, learning instruments there.
Are you good with covers as well? Are there some certain amount of covers? Like, how long would it take you to learn? Well, let's say Queen said we need a replacement for today, and we're going to be playing Bohemian Rhapsody. Would you know the intricacies of that song and how to play it? It contains a guitar, you know.
On drums, I could play almost anything with like drums. I could play at a very professional level with very little rehearsal or practice, right? Like I can play I can play a lot of popular songs, like 80% well. If I were going to rehearse, I would get that other 20% and perfect it. But with drums, there's a way to play, and I know the songs well enough, and I can feel the arrangement things that I won't screw up. I can play a song and it won't train wreck. Right, I can get through it. With guitar is different because you need to know chords and shapes and arrangements and different patterns. Drums are more easier to comp on and to sit in on. But yeah, I can learn almost anything, play almost anything.
You mean like Eagles and things like that?
Yeah, I can figure stuff out. Yeah.
Is there any band that you don't know?
Well, yeah, I don't know stuff that I've never heard before, right? And everything's going to be different degrees of difficulty, right? Like certain songs are more complex than others, certain songs are easier. So it's hard to just kind of generalize something like that, you know.
Discuss how you react with and respond to fans, like especially you're playing like even if your band is unknown but still wants to be known, whatever, you still have fans because everyone loves rock music. So how would you respond? I don't know how you would respond if the girls ran up to you and started tearing off your clothes, but how would you deal with that? What do? You just kind of
well, I usually let them proceed. You got to give the fans what they want, right? So, but I don't know. You got to I don't know. Like I'm a fan myself, right? So I would just treat them the way I'd like to be treated by the artists I respect. It's all about the music for me, right? So it's all about sharing the music, whether you're a performer or a listener. You're just sharing this music, right? Yeah, I just bring them into the circle. Just, thanks for enjoying my music. What do you like about it, kind of thing, right? That's all that stuff, right? Back and forth relationship between the song, the artist, and the fan, right? I love that.
Love your passion. So what song do you have playing currently in your Spotify list or your radio list? Springsteen.
I'm listening to a lot of Johnny Cash lately. I just got this box set.
Oh, nice.
The complete Columbia albums collection. It's 63 CDs.
63?
63,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan, but even this set has records I've never heard before. I haven't heard before. There's a bunch of records on here being released on CD for the first time, right? So it's amazing to find songs from Johnny Cash from the 60s and 70s that I've never heard before, and they're really good. So it's great. I think I'm about halfway through it. I'm up to like CD 34, 35, but I've been listening to like one or two a day for the last couple of weeks, which has been awesome.
That's interesting. You may like this at the, I don't know if you've ever been to a little place called Poor Credit. They have a vinyl album place called Architop, which is just all vinyl albums. Some of them are like records you'll never find, like the White Album, $350. A lot of these newest bands are coming up with vinyl because they say it's a better sound. Do you feel that that's true as well?
Yeah, for the most part, it sounds better and it's a different listening experience, right? I can't listen to music if it's streaming or if it's just floating out there in the ether. I need to own it to appreciate it. And there's something special about having a record and opening it up and looking at the liner notes and putting it on the turntable and dropping the needle on it. You got to be careful, and it's you got to respect the music, right? You can't just be pressing buttons, and it's not, to me, it's not what's the word? It's not I don't know. Music means a lot to me. It's not. It shouldn't just be floating out there. It's not free to me. I need to own it. I enjoy it more in situations like that. So a lot of times when an artist will put out a record and they release a song online, or you're listening to this song streaming, I won't listen to it because I like that first listen from a vinyl LP, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I remember my brother had his first stereo, and these styluses, they're diamond styluses, were so expensive. And you had to lift up the arm and you had to put it in. And now it's all like Spotify. I don't think you even do MP3s anymore. I think MP3s are going away at dinosaurs as well, but people are still going back to vinyl. So
yeah, it's cool, man.
It is cool, yeah. Okay, two more questions. Yes. So what do you think of the current music industry?
I don't know. I mean, it's weird. Like, I don't know what to do with it as far as marketing my own music, right? I don't really know, like, how to do it. It's so weird. it's it's a mix of social media and different formats, and people don't buy music the way they used to. You got to get out there and play live. So I don't know. It's a different music industry than it was 20, 30 years ago when I was starting out in it as a possible career profession kind of thing. As far as new artists, I don't really follow a lot of new artists. I follow old artists releasing new music. So I do buy a lot of new music, but it's by artists that have been around for 20, 30, 40 years. Right?
Also, you don't care about some of the newest bands like Imagine Dragons, Blue October. You don't really care about any of those, I'm saying.
No, I'll try it every once in a while. I'll take a taste, but it doesn't really hook me. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old. It just doesn't sound like the type of music I like. I don't know. I'm sure there's good rock and roll bands out there doing stuff, but no one's really grabbed me.
There are actually musicians out there who actually they produce and release an album that's totally done on their phone. GarageBand is an app called Demo where you can actually write a song and release it. Some people have done that. Jan Arden wrote her 4th or 5th album in the comfort of her living room. So you can cut out all this middleman, like the producers, directors, just to make your own music, write it. You can even do create your own violin sounds, or you can make it sound like you had a band there, but it was just you. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I would argue it never really sounds like a real band. Like it always kind of sounds processed, and it sounds like somebody did it in their basement. But it's neat that you can do that. There's all kinds of advancements in technology. It's just how you use it. Right?
And here is my closer question. What do you think of auto-tune? And is it fair?
I don't know. Like the thing with auto-tune is like where it started was that Cher song, Believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what auto-tune was created for was to correct bad pitch on singers. But with the Cher thing, what they did was they took this tool, and I think they dialed it all the way to 10, and they turned one all the way to 0 or something like that. But they did something wrong with it to create that kind of effect, that sort of space sound on your voice, right? And I think that's cool, where you take sort of some technology and you throw away the instruction manual and you just play around with it and you try and get some sort of weird sounds out of it, and that's cool. But it's just turned into a thing now where people use it as a crutch almost, to like they don't have to sing right anymore because they can just fix it in the studio. So I don't know, like it's gone too far where it's become a sound now. You can everything in pop music sounds so perfect corrected. Like it's got no character, it's got no style. Like you listen to some of the greatest songs of all time, and there's all little mistakes and little vocal inflections where the singer voice might have cracked because they were reaching for a note, and that little characteristic, that little thing is what makes the whole song and what connects it to the listener, makes it more human, rather than like a lot of the pop music today just sounds like computers and robots, and everything sounds the same, and I don't know.
Have you ever heard the Grace Slick version with the music removed of no auto-tune, her singing White Rabbit? It's on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
It's Grace Slick from Jefferson Airplane. When she was singing White Rabbit, they removed the music. No auto-tune, perfect. But then you remove auto-tune from the Britney Spears song, you're thinking, wow, she can't sing at all. So I don't think it's fair. I think doing that just for this person to be a millionaire and they can't sing, I think it's not fair.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of good singers that have used auto-tune, and there's a lot of bad singers that have used auto-tune, right? So, but there's something for a human voice just singing something perfect, like Whitney Houston or Frank Sinatra. Like you're not going to get anywhere with auto-tune on stuff like that,
Or unless you do something what ABBA did now that they have a concert now with all this young versions of themselves, of like a hologram type of thing.
Yeah.
That might be the future of music, my friend. You might just get the young platters playing again.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. Whatever. If people like that, go for it. But I don't know. I don't think I would get any enjoyment from that.
Well, thanks, Lee, for this time.
All right, cool.
Okay, Lee. So I will see ya.
All right,
Good.
man.
Thank you very much for your time, bud.
All right, take it easy, Chris.
You too. Bye.
See ya.